Monte Morris, the Phoenix Suns were able to, I guess unofficially, but still acquire him yesterday towards the end of our show. So we got to react to it yesterday. But I do think it's worth diving back into it today, more specifically, or at least let's start here, with how he can impact / help / make the big three's jobs easier. So where do you want to go with that?
Setting expectations in a proper place.
Okay.
Which is that Monte Morris is not going to be the starting point guard for the Phoenix Suns, which is something I have to say out loud, I guess. They traded for Bradley Beal, and once they traded for Bradley Beal, we were set with a Devin Booker, Bradley Beal starting backcourt for a while. Mm-hmm. Now, let's say Brad has not even a year similar to last year. I think people really, really get on Brad for the year that he had last year, and I don't really understand why. If you look at it within the context of what they should get on him for, and I understand it, is not being able to stay healthy.
That's what it is. I mean, that's where it all starts.
Let me understand, if you think you're frustrated about it, Brad is more frustrated than anyone times a million.
Yeah.
If you're even the most pissed off Suns fan in the world right now about how Brad can't stay healthy, believe me, he's more angry about it.
He didn't close things out great in the playoffs either. So I think like the main things everybody looks at weren't great for him.
He had his worst game of the year at the worst time possible, which was the one game in the series where they were playing well. I thought that he was fine in the other 3 games. I know people are going to throw numbers at me, but I watched the games in person and watched how he stepped up to defending Anthony Edwards and did a pretty fine job. You'll remember how Ant didn't really explode in that series that much. Brad was the guy guarding him, and we don't talk about his defense that much. He was fine. The point being, if Brad plays like he did last year, but does it consistently, meaning he just stays healthy, the Suns are going to have a really, really good player next year. There were 4 or 5 different times in the middle of the season when we saw him find his role, locate it, and then he just got hurt and had to get that rhythm back again. And then Frank Vogel makes him the point guard, as in you're not just the third banana, you have a real role on this team, which, wouldn't you know it, was a horrible idea that went really wrong, because for as much as people want to talk about how the use of Devin Booker is not best as him as the point guard, guess what? He's their point guard. I'm sorry. He's the best at it that they have on their roster, including Monte Morris, at breaking down a defense and putting pressure on it and making a decision from there. Would you ideally be using Booker as a scorer first as opposed to a playmaker? Yes. But
at least have the option.
You have the option, and he has the upside to still be one of those primary initiators, one of those 4 to 5 guys in the league that can break down a defense at every possession. That's where I thought we were headed last year, and then it was a toxic mess all over the place where he couldn't get settled. So let's start there. Monte Morris is not starting. He is not going to command the majority of the ball, even when he's on the floor.
But he knows that coming in. I mean, he signed up for this. He knows what he's signing up for. There's no way Monte Morris is like, I'm gonna go be the guy for the Phoenix Suns.
It's more for Suns fans who have expected the point guard to come in and be their savior, and hearing about Monte Morris's assist to turnover ratio and hearing about what he does on the floor and expecting this to be a guy who plays 25 plus minutes a game. It's just not going to happen. With that said, what he is going to provide in his small bursts is going to be extremely effective, because the point in the game that I really wanted to see the Suns focus on the most in improving this offseason is when Devin Booker goes to the bench. It's been a tale as old as time. When he goes to rest, the Suns are pretty much screwed and things go awry. I thought that Brad was going to be capable, and maybe in a full year he will be, of being the point guard, quote unquote, in those minutes when Book was off the floor. And look, when those guys are on the floor together, Brad's bringing up the ball a fair bit, I understand, but this offense is always looked at its best when it's Book being that guy. So I expect him to be that guy next year. I expect Mike Budenholzer to watch back last year. I expect him to have all these conversations and figure out that is that guy. He probably knew that before he even took the job. I mean, who did he coach against in the 2021 finals and saw nearly beat his team single-handedly?
Pretty familiar with him.
Jay Crowder and Devin Booker were the only 2 guys playing at their level or above it in that entire finals. I'm including DeAndre, and I'm including Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, Cam Payne, and so on. With all of that, when Booker comes off the floor, Beal did not handle those minutes well, particularly in January, to the point where when I was coming on you guys' show, I was saying they probably need a backup point guard because those minutes are looking too shaky. Have someone come in there. Now you have that guy. So Monte Morris can come in for Devin Booker, or he can come in even earlier. Maybe he's the guy that comes in for Bradley Beal when Brad checks out at the 6-5 minute mark, somewhere around there. And you can get Book a little bit more off the ball if you want to. But more importantly, when Brad's out there without Book and maybe without Kevin for certain stretches, I think you can set him up for success more, as opposed to going from, hey, you're barely touching the ball, to now you're doing everything. And that's, I think, what Frank was thinking when he was like, I kind of need you to be the point guard now. I'm going to tell everyone you're the point guard. He's the point guard.
It was like having a pinch hitter in a baseball game where like you're going to sit there for 7 innings and then you're going to bat for everybody. Like you're just going to go 1 through 9. You're going to be the batter for everybody. Something that we talked about a lot when you were on the show in that part of the season, and we can get back into this in a little bit, but the idea that if they added a point guard, it might force Bradley Beal to be like a bench guy or like the 6th man or whatever. They've done this in a way where that's not the case, right? I mean, now you still have him. Like you said, he's your backup in the sense that Booker's the starter. Not like you're going to go get another starter. You've got your guy now, but you've done it in a way where Bradley Beal doesn't have to be a 6th man, which was something you brought up a few times when we talked to you about it during the course of the season.
Thanks for watching Wolf and Luke. Tap to see more and click the button in the middle to subscribe to Arizona Sports.